The Morgan Report with David Morgan.
David Morgan with the morganreport.com. The weekly perspective for the week ending 6 January 2023. Well, I got that part right. Taking a look here at Kitco with an hour and 20 minutes left in the market. As you can see, gold's up almost 2%, silver's up almost 3%. Platinum and palladium are both up, respectively 3 and almost 4%. So, big day. This is attributed to the jobs report release that happened today. And we can attribute to that or not. What we really know is there's more buying pressure than selling pressure, and the market's going up. From Russia today, which is hard to access sometimes, Switzerland boosts gold imports from Russia despite sanctions. So data from Swiss Customs showed that in November alone, gold worth hundreds of millions of dollars came into the country. That's basically all you have to know. I mean, sanctions are what they are. Are they abided by? Yes and no. It's hard to do any perspective without getting zero hedge in the mix, which is great. And the title of this is The Role of Gold May Be Changing. Central banks panic buy precious metals in 2022. This is kind of an old story if you've been listening to me and others in the sector, but we've seen a huge run on and into gold by the central banking system, and this chart says it all. This dark green line that I'm highlighting here shows you that banks have been busy beavers buying gold. I wonder why that is. The conclusion of the article says that in 2023, this year, the hardest of currencies, meaning gold, receives a further blast of support from three directions. First, geopolitical backdrop of an increasing war economy. Second, the massive investment in new national security priorities, including energy sources, the energy transition, and supply chains. And third, rising global liquidity as policymakers move to avoid a debacle in debt markets. I hope they can avoid it. And as a mild real growth recession, certainly in nominal terms, and I'll say it's going to be at least a recession, if not a depression. This is an interesting news from mining.com, and I'll give you my perspective. Recession risks to weigh on precious metals prices, but weaker dollar would help, report. So the ongoing war in Ukraine, continued high inflation, recession concerns will play a pivotal role in gold, silver, and platinum metals in 2023, says Heraeus, the world's biggest precious metals trader. All right, that's a fact. Now, normally this would make sense if there's a slowdown and a recessionary environment, what's going to happen to the precious metals? And there's basically the answer is they're going to be less produced. However, if you look at silver, 70% is a byproduct. So if you have less production in 70% of the market, that puts a lower amount of metal above ground. So there's something to think about, at least on the silver side. Platinum and palladium are such tiny and tight markets that these recessions really don't have a huge effect on them. Gold is more of a political metal, and of course, it does seem to ebb and flow pretty much with what the overall economic take is. But remember, the golden constant by Professor Jastrom proved that gold does best in a deflationary environment. So keep that in mind. And I want to point something out. I mean, it's obvious to those that study these markets, but maybe not so obvious to others. And that is, let's say, as a thought experiment, that silver does nothing this year. It was around the number of $25 an ounce. But the housing market goes down 50%. And let's say the housing market goes down 50%. So that ounce of silver will buy you twice as much real estate. So you got to think about wealth preservation and the adage, and this is seldom ever talked about, but he who loses least wins. I'm not saying that everything is going to deflate, but you want to see what deflates relative one thing to the other. I want to further that point somewhat. So this is a chart of the Dow Jones Industrial Average in terms of gold. So it's the Dow Jones divided by gold. And so what you see way back here in the late 60s, early 70s, going to 1980, one thing you can notice is that in terms of gold, the gold Dow ratio reached about 1.35 at the bottom of this chart. In other words, when gold peaked at the Dow gold ratio was close to 1. And then, of course, the gold market ended, and you had this massive increase in stocks. But if you look at this in gold terms, the peak was really in 1999, which is where the NASDAQ peaked. And since that time, it's been down, 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 caught a bottom around 2012, and it's been up, and it's going sideways now. The point being, if you look at the Dow in terms of gold, you get a different picture. Because if you just get a nominal picture, it looks really, really good. Of course, now the stock market has pulled back. But the point being, a nominal number is a bigger number, and most people think a new high is a real new high, when in fact, if you take the inflation lie out of those numbers and look at it priced in gold, you get a much more accurate picture. There's a whole book written about this. In fact, one of the first ones I read after I met Mr. Dines of the Dines Letter. It's a book titled The Invisible Crash, and it goes into great detail what I'm just showing you here. But I do want to absolutely state that the shift is happening between stocks, bonds, real estate, and other asset classes. The Silver Institute put out their quarterly report just recently. Certainly I won't read the whole thing. You get it off their website for free. Global demand silver in 2022 forecast to reach an all-time high. And then the subset here is silver jewelry and physical investment projected to rise by 50 million ounces, also to record highs. I've talked about that in the past. I may talk more about it. These letters are very interesting. I've got basically from the first issue to present. They used to do them in hard copy and you had to subscribe. That was years ago. They've been for free for a long time now. NASA invents silver ion energy to propel spacecraft. You can read that. There's always these very interesting articles about what silver is doing or projected to do or may be used in, that type of thing. Talks about silver jewelry, buying habits, and keeping electrons honest. Remember, silver is very conductive. In fact, the most conductive metal that we know of. And I'll leave it at that. So I would definitely, if you're a silver bug, or even if you just want to learn about the market, I would suggest you get on the mailing list from the Silver Institute. And an article about platinum, my favorite since the 850 bottom where I bought. This is from Kitco. Platinum was the top precious metals in 2022. Here's how the others did. It's a pretty good article. You know, why platinum? It goes into the World Platinum Investment Council. Believe me, platinum is you think silver is a small market. Platinum is really a small market. Obstacles for the precious metal in 2022. I've gone more in depth for our premium service, what's really going on in the platinum market. And of course, it's like most anything, supply and demand, although with the amount of paper that can be pushed into the derivatives market, certainly it's how the price is settled. But nonetheless, it doesn't mean that we ignore the fundamentals. And I'm going to close out here in 2 or 3 minutes. So on the main landing page of themorganreport.com, if you come over to the blog and hit blog, you come here. And when you come here, you have these icons over here for their YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So on the YouTube channel, I want to bring your attention, as I have in the past, to the community button right there. And this is stuff that I post, and I'm the only one that does it, so it's me. Usually videos that I think are worth your time. So I just put one up this morning, and this is from my friend in the UK that did the Four Horsemen film. And he does a weekly show that's always worth watching, but it's called Renegade Inc. Anyway, this video was with Professor Werner, and I'm going to try to get him on our mastermind series, but I say he explains banking better than anyone I've heard, and that's saying quite a bit. And the reason I say it's saying quite a bit is I've probably heard the fundamental fact of how money is created well over 100 times from many individuals, many very articulate, many succinct, but this professor just absolutely nails it. So if you have any doubters in your family or acquaintances that don't believe that a depositor is at risk, how money's really created, you should take the 15 minutes to listen to this segment. And of course, if you listen to the segment, the full interview is in a link below it, but I just put up the segment to save time. And I'm going to end with a quick scroll from our Twitter account. Stephen Lieb and I are friends. I'm going to interview him again here shortly. An article that I posted from LinkedIn that he wrote. Here's one. Celsius Network wins ownership rights to customer crypto deposits. So as many have told you in the crypto space, do not leave them on an exchange. Get them in your own wallet and secure them. That's proof of why that's a fact. Here's one that I reposted. 2023 may be the year where you must choose which side of good or evil you are on. And the last couple here is one with JP Morgan. JP Morgan wants to bring trillions of dollars of tokenized assets to DeFi. Is this what the people want, I ask? And the last one I'll end on is Africa News. Zimbabwe bans all lithium exports. Most likely I'll be doing a special report on the lithium market, and I may have a recommendation in that space in the not too distant future. So this is David Morgan of themorganreport.com signing off with another weekly perspective.